Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and we got an interesting story in the news today from Zero Hedge, an article authored by Mike Krieger via the Liberty Blitzkrieg, where he broke down an open-the-book study on how America's most prestigious universities bilk the U.S. taxpayer. I'm going to go over the 10-point breakdown, and then I'm going to break it down myself and talk about how these universities are screwing the American people. So, starting off with number 1, Ivy League payments and entitlements cost taxpayers $41.59 billion over a 6-year period, 2010 to 2015. This is equivalent to $120,000 in government monies, subsidies, and special tax treatment per undergraduate student, or $6.93 billion per year. Number 2. The Ivy League was the recipient of $25.73 billion worth of federal payments during this period. Contracts, $1.37 billion, grants, $23.9 billion, and direct payments, student assistance, $460 million. Number 3. In monetary terms, the government contracting business of the Ivy League, $25.27 billion, federal contracts and grants, exceeded their educational mission, $22 billion in student tuition from 2010 to 2015. Number 4. The 8 colleges of the Ivy League received more money, $4.31 billion, on average annually from the federal government than 16 states. Number 5. The Ivy League Endowment Funds 2015 exceeded $119 billion, which is equivalent to nearly $2 million per undergraduate student. Number 6. As a non-profit educational institution, the Ivy League pays no tax on investment gains. Between 2011 and 2015, the Ivy League schools received a $9.6 billion tax break on the $27.3 billion growth of their endowment funds. In 2014, the tax-free subsidy on endowment gains amounted to $3.4 billion, or nearly $60,000 per student. And I'm going to get into this in a minute because taxation is theft, and that's one of the big reasons I'm giving you this story. Now, moving on to number 7, with continued gifts at present rates, the $119 billion endowment fund provides free tuition to the entire student body in perpetuity. Without new gifts, the endowment is equivalent to a full ride scholarship for all Ivy League undergraduate students for 51 years, or until 2068. Number 8. In the fiscal year of 2014, the balance sheet for all Ivy League colleges showed $194,332,115,120 in accumulated gross assets. This is equivalent to $3.35 million per undergraduate student. Number 9. The Ivy League employs 47 administrators who each earn more than $1 million per year. 2 executives each earned $20 million between 2010 and 2014. Ivy League employees earned $62 billion in compensation. Now, number 10. In a 5-year period, 2010 to 2014, the Ivy League spent $17.8 million on lobbying, which included issues mostly related to their endowment, federal contracting, immigration, and student aid. So let me kind of break this down a little bit, because these universities have become a headache for a lot of us. A lot of us roll our eyes now just hearing about universities because they are certainly not a place of learning. Kids spend parents spend a ton of money getting their kids into these universities, going into debt, only for them to never be objectively challenged. They are basically indoctrinated. They're told what to think. They are not challenged in university. It's a huge waste of money. The government should not, again, I must correct myself. The people must not be subsidizing these indoctrination camps. That's what they are, re-education. Kids are born with an optimistic mind, with a growing objective mind, and they are molded into a certain category of brainwashing in order to suit the states narrative in the long run. Trust me, this is a long-formed conspiracy, and they've been doing it for a long time. And when kids go to universities these days, they sit down in a class, and these cultural Marxist professors tell them what to think. In my personal opinion, and I've been over this before, I think that there should be a mix of laissez-faire capitalists, Marxist Keynesians, Austrian economists, Rothbardians, and the likes, all debating for the class to hear and let them grow their opinions themselves instead of being told this is how things work, despite usually that way not being the way that things work. I'm not saying that all universities are terrible. I'm not saying that all professors are terrible. There are some good ones out there, clearly. But for the most part, we've seen this academic mentality, this absurd leftist propaganda being pushed out of universities. And a big part of that is also like the cultural Marxist safe spaces. Oh, you are offended. You can't take care of your own feelings, so you want other people to take care of it for you, and everything you say is hate speech if someone disagrees with it. You call a man in a biker jacket with a big burly beard a man, and he identifies as a woman, and now you've got a hate crime going on in places like Canada, Germany, other places. I mean, this is so insane. This kind of mentality is making people dependent, subservient, weak, and destructive. If anything ever happens to the power grid, let's just say that we shouldn't have too much hope in most of humanity because they are going down just based on the fact that they won't be able to text their friend about Kim Kardashian's latest outfit or how sexist someone that they disagree with was for calling a woman, etc., etc., etc. It's insane. And they're shutting down free speech on campuses, and it's actually working to an extent because people like Milo Yiannopoulos, they go to a campus, they get firebombed, people are throwing Molotov cocktails everywhere, beating each other up, pepper spraying women who they claim to stand for, and then these college campuses go, oh, wait a second, well, actually, we don't want you to speak anymore because you might cause people to have objective thought, which triggers them nowadays and makes them go completely insane like a bunch of children who didn't get the ice cream at the store that they wanted. It's absolutely insane, and this is a childlike mentality of so many today. It's a childlike mentality of the boomers and even more the millennials today. Now, going into the academic socialist indoctrination, I believe it's something like 90% of professors today in universities are total leftists. And that isn't creating objective thought, that is indoctrination, as I went into. And one has to question what exactly the agenda is of these universities or the government that funds these useless universities, which causes countless people to go into debt. And in the end, these people come out and they can't get proper jobs. They end up in debt, or their parents end up in debt, rather, with current generation. And then they can't get proper jobs. They've spent all these years, and these ridiculous, worthless cash grab classes which don't land employment, like women's studies, or a lot of actually even going into anthropology. It doesn't really get to you much, but then in Canada there's Native American studies, stuff like that. They are basically just hate groups or on campus that tell you that everyone that disagrees with you should be hated, meanwhile calling those people you disagree with hate mongers. It is this mentality of you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi if you don't agree with me, meanwhile using Nazi tactics in that sense to use against people you disagree with. It is absolute insanity, and it's how you turn a blind eye to objective thought. So what the bottom line is for me is that these universities should not be sucking taxpayers of all this money just to indoctrinate children, create weak, dependent cultures, and destroy society, because that's exactly what they're doing. As I said, there are good professors, but for the most part, these places are just blood-sucking leeches that are draining brains of objective thought, draining brains of brain cells, basically. This should not continue to go on, and the fact that so many universities are stopping bringing on speakers because they're controversial and they make people think differently says a lot about where this is going. The SJWs make up like 3% of the world, at least in Western culture. I don't think there's too many SJWs in the middle of the jungle trying to fend for themselves, because SJWs are people who can't fend for themselves and expect the government to restrict people because they can't stand for themselves or stand up for themselves. So I would say in Western culture, SJWs make up maybe 3% of the culture of the people, but yet the media makes them such a strong voice. They perpetuate their loud, obnoxious rants on TV, making more and more people start to feel that way. But then their case goes against them because their absurdity actually moves people towards people like Donald Trump, whether you like him or not. The reason Donald Trump won was because people were sick of these politically correct, insane people who will go to every length to call out everything as racist, sexist, bigotry. People like Ashley Judd, who claim that emojis are racist, even though they're yellow. She says, well, they are technically white by being yellow, and they don't show up black first or something. Basically, the yellow smiley face was meant to simply be standing for all races, but she can't see it that way. It has to be black first, which leaves out Asians and Latinos, etc. Meanwhile, when you click on these emojis, they stay that way once you've clicked on them, because they give you the option of the black, white, blah, 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 all the skin tones. This is the insanity of these people. It's absolutely nuts. And you know what? They are shooting themselves in the foot, and it won't last much longer because they look like the morons that they are. And people are running away saying, I do not want to be part of this. I don't want any involvement in this. This is crazy. So anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. You can check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated. And of course, check the address in the description and the comments for Bitcoin, which we will also put up on the screen for you to scan if you so please. Stay tuned for much more. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.